we need to be talking about getting video recordings in these courts, because who is guarding the judges?
Jeff, I've given this a lot of thought over since having going back through the system. The legislature can't gain control of the judiciary. The governor can't do it. It's not their job. It's the job of the people, which is the fourth branch of government. And we're the forgotten branch. Government is instituted to be a benefit, security, and protection of the people.
Right.
And that rests within the judiciary, which it's appalling.
What I saw today was appalling, and I'm going to take a little bit further than what you did. I think the governor could launch an investigation into this. The problem, I think, is that the governor may not, because he too was an attorney, he too was a judge, and the other thing is that the legislator.
We actually, I'm wrong on this, Jeff. The legislature can actually impeach judges.
They can impeach judges, and they should.
They've never done it.
So what they've done is they have this thing called the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, which is an effeminate organization. It has no backbone. Everybody who writes to them, they basically get dismissed. They will even know that stuff is going on in the courts, and they always deny it. I've gone through this. Everybody that I've talked to, not one person has had a positive response from this so-called the Texas State Judicial Conduct Board of Judicial Conduct. It is a kangaroo commission, and we have a couple of citizens in there, but the majority is lawyers. It's lawyers watching lawyers. It's wolves guarding the henhouse. That's what's taking place here. That's why we need to have video recordings in these courtrooms to keep judges honest, respectful, and to enhance the dignity of the court versus the impairment of the dignity of the court that I witnessed today. And Brandon, I'm sorry that you went through this. I was appalled myself.
I don't know what to say about it. That sums it up. I was railroaded today, but the judge at one point, right toward the end of the short proceeding, he actually lied when I said, fine, let's move forward past the video issue. I said, well, I'd like to call my witness, but there's no witnesses here. And he chastised me for my witness list, but I specifically asked for Judge Evans to be there. And
but he acted like he had no list at the beginning.
He did.
What witness list are you talking about?
And then I clarified that I did email it to him and I also faxed it to him.
Yes, sir. And I requested that Judge Evans be here on as a witness. And
I don't know when you requested that Judge Evans be here as a witness.
Yes, sir. It was in the it was in the witness list that I faxed over. And
well, the fact that your witness list is obviously a little bit absurd. I'm sure you don't anticipate those people showing up.
Maybe he just had a senior moment of forgetfulness or something like that. But it looked to me like once you called him out, I emailed this to you. Oh, well, that was a ridiculous list. So did you get a list? Was there a list? Or was there a ridiculous list? I mean, you say one thing, and then once you get called on the carpet about it, you change your story. Again, is it a senior moment, or is it intentional deceit? That's a good question.
Well, Jeff, I want to make a point here, because at some point we'll release these documents, and what do we need to we need to ask here? Who's really ridiculous? Was the list ridiculous, or was it ridiculous the way I was treated today?
It was ridiculous the way that you were treated, and it was ridiculous the way that you were treated by Judge Moore as well. And you know, you have a perfect right to seek the recusal of a judge, and at the same time, now that that judge is not recused, how is he or she going to look at you? I mean, maybe, and I've heard some judges say this, there have been some good judges that said, you know, if it appears that I'm going to be prejudiced against a person, I'm going to take extra steps. Maybe I'm going to be prejudiced for the person. We'll see if this happens. Brandon, the other thing that I find is this. You're just a father who wants to be involved in your children's lives. You want so much to be involved in your children's lives that you only live a mile away from there. You have a beautiful home. they should be able to come and see you. In fact, even the Texas Family Law Foundation, one of their attorneys argued that there is nothing that is written that should deny the children the right to see a parent.
Sometimes parents will go have lunch with their kids, and the other parent will get into an argument because that's supposedly not a school activity. And so it's amazing, but people will fight about that sort of thing. Or a field trip, saying, well, that's not exactly a school activity. School activities are plays or they're concerts. And so there's a need, because a parent has a right to go do that. They have a right to go to the football games. They have a right to go see their child at taekwondo or dance lessons when it's not their day to have possession. And we need to make sure that the law specifically provides for that, just to limit the amount of fights that people have about these nonsensical kind of issues. And so we applaud Representative Toth for doing this, and we're fully in support of the bill. Your client has a right to go up there and have lunch, which they do. The law says they do. You have a right, unless there's some order that prevents you from having access to your child. You have a right to access at any time.
Jeff, this is embedded in public policy, 153-.001. It says exactly that, and it outlines it. That in so many words, you're supposed to have maximum time, even within the standard possession order. But I want to mention a critical point here. With where I'm at in my life and being held to this minimum standard, all that said, the mother is just doing what this corrupt system is allowing her to do.
Right.
So I have, on a personal level, I have shifted my focus to being upset with her and being upset with the root cause,
Which is,
the Texas corrupt family law industry. It's not even a court, it's an industry.
it's an industry. It's an industry. And as an industry, the Texas family law industry should be regulated. It should be regulated as harshly as banks are regulated. It should be regulated as harshly as whether it's alcohol companies or pharmaceutical companies. This is an industry, and they thrive on destroying families. Family courts do not exist to bring families together. Family courts exist to separate families. And whether you're separating families at the border, like some people, the children are being upset are being separated from their parents. They're being separated on a daily basis in family courts. Family courts exist to separate families. Remember this, family courts exist to separate families. And it is a shame that as a father to children who love you, children who want to be with you, that a family court can separate you from your children and then can take sides against you from being a good father.
Well, Jeff, from the very beginning, even though the Texas policy, the public policy is to maximize time with parents, what they say and what they do not match up.
Right. And as evidence here today, when I saw that because you're trying to be a father who's involved in your children's life, you have a judge threatening to throw you in jail. Mr. Johnson, where do you live? Mr. Johnson, would you like to go home tonight?
Well, sir,
Mr. Johnson, listen to me just a second. Where do you live?
sir, I live in Mineral Wells.
You want to go home tonight? You want to go home tonight? You want to go home tonight?
I find this to be absolutely inexcusable, tyrannical behavior, abusive behavior by this judge, Judge Wallace, and there's no excuse for it. That he would threaten you. From what I saw, and I was the person in there, he threatened to throw you in jail. And I don't know what I would have done had I been in your situation. Hey, if you say anything, he might say, bailiff, lock him up. And I'm wondering if the Texas State Commission on Judicial Conduct will actually take this up. You go ahead and do it, and I'm telling you this, I think that we need to do this. You do this, but you have a certain time frame. You've got to do it almost immediately.
It's going to be done immediately, Jeff. What we're doing right now is we want to empower other people, because only through the empowerment of the people themselves are we going to get this changed.
Right.
We cannot depend on our representatives. We can't depend on our senators.
Can't depend on
we
our
can't
governor.
depend on the governor. We can't depend on these organizations that are just to prop up this corrupt system.
Right.
We must depend on each other. We must depend on the people. And people are, I believe.
Yeah.
Jeff, I believe people in their hearts, they know what justice is. And that's why the
And
standard,
this is not justice today.
Jeff, the standard for a recusal is not what's mandatory by the court. The standard for a recusal is if a reasonable person would, and when it says reasonable person, we're not talking about somebody with a law degree. It doesn't even specify they have a high school education. A reasonable person who can discern right from wrong.
Right.
Once he's presented with all the facts, he would be able to determine if a judge should be even looking at, if he should be presiding over a case.
Right, right. I agree with you. I agree with you. And I think what happens with sometimes with these judges, and like sometimes with representatives as well. I'm not accusing everybody, but sometimes these certain people think like they have godlike powers. They are appointed to these positions and they get away with whatever they want to. But they are representatives of the people. You talked about the fourth branch of government being the people. We the people. And we the people need to hold these people that we've appointed to be our representatives and to do right, not to commit injustice or tyranny or to abuse you in a court. We need to be able to have some means to actually hold these people accountable, and if they do not want to be held accountable, they should be dismissed. And perhaps even because of their position of public trust, if they violate public trust, perhaps they should be prosecuted in some way for violating that trust.
And Jeff, speaking on trust, each year there's a report put out on the confidence and trust in the judiciary. And this is something that the judiciary knows is of the utmost importance. And one of the quotes, and I don't know the exact name, he was a Frenchman, but he said, the beginning of the end of a society is loss of faith in the judiciary.
Yeah, well, that's been gone for a long time. But anyway, go ahead.
That's it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so anyway, I guess that's it for right now. Unless there's anything else you want to add, you write your letter, send me the case information. I will write as well. I was a witness. I saw it.